Welcome back to another semester of Carolina News Today. We're starting a little late this semester because of Hurricane Florence.
But we'll tell you about the impact of the hurricane on campus and around the state. I'm Abigail Brown.
And I'm Alexis Clinton. Keep it right here.
Carolina News Today is brought to you in part by the Wing Company of Pembroke, serving award-winning wings fresh, not frozen. Live Entertainment Weekly, 703 West 3rd Street in Pembroke. 10% discount for students and teachers every day. TheOriginalWingCo.com.
UNCP officials learned from Hurricane Matthew 2 years ago, and this year dismissed students ahead of Hurricane Florence. The campus did flood again, but the vast majority of students were long gone before the storm moved up from Wilmington that Friday. Parking lots were largely empty, so students didn't suffer vehicle losses like last time. But the campus was unapproachable for days, and students and non-critical employees were told to stay away. Despite sandbagging some doorways and other cracks, several buildings suffered flood damage again, including business services and the chancellor's residence. Athletic fields also flooded but have since recovered.
21 students weathered the storm on campus and were housed in Cypress Hall. UNCP lost power for about 3 days. Generators powered the police station and emergency lighting in the residence halls. Police Chief McDuffie Cummings says officers were able to move about the campus to serve the students.
Officers carried food down, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Sodexo provided snacks during the day. They were well taken care of. Students got a little stir crazy at the last because they wanted to get out and explore. But I think everybody, I don't want to say they enjoyed the storm, but they were safe and secure.
As we said, the vast majority of students went home or stayed with friends or relatives, but they weren't necessarily out of Florence's reach. Some told us where they were when Florence hit and what that was like.
I was in Durham, North Carolina. Initially, it wasn't too bad, but then the weather pattern started to get really iffy. It started to rain real bad, and we had a really bad outage, so you feel me.
I was in Jacksonville, North Carolina, me and my brother and my mother. It was bad. All the roads were shut down, no power for 7 days. Cold showers. Surrounding cities were all flooded out. New Bern, Wilmington. It was not fun at all. It was very sad.
And was there much damage to your home?
A little bit of flooding on the first floor, but nothing spectacular.
I was in Charlotte, North Carolina. Wasn't really affected that much. Had a little bit of rain. Some places were flooded near the lake, but nothing too bad.
I'm from Wingate, North Carolina, and we got hit, not bad, just a lot of flooded areas, and we're out of lights for like 3 days, 4 days and 3 nights.
While students were gone, UNCP was home to many first responders who came from all over the country to help the region with water rescues, engineering, and policing. State emergency personnel came from as far away as Oklahoma, Colorado, and Texas, joined by federal agents from the FBI, FEMA, and the National Guard. They tried to get some shut-eye in the main gym between shifts, and hot meals were provided by Sodexo in the UC Dining Hall. By Wednesday, the Lumber River was rising outside of Lumberton, and the need for water rescues increased in Pembroke and throughout the county. Do-it-yourself rescues and return trips trying to salvage belongings were discouraged.
Sodexo dining employees showed up daily to feed remaining students and emergency personnel any way they could. Sodexo managers say they learned a lot about preparedness after Hurricane Matthew. They ordered more disposable tableware and non-perishables. They also kept in constant communication with their food vendors to track who would be able to deliver. Food Services Manager Eddie Rivera said employees were committed to working, although it was certainly a challenge to get to campus.
A lot of people lost their houses. A lot of people still don't have access to their houses. Houses are underwater. So really, before we went out for on Thursday for obviously to go home to pass the hurricane, we created a volunteer list. People that we know they're local from here, from Pembroke, or local towns or cities that they know they can get here to disaster because they've been through Matthew before. They know that the roads don't get flooded, they don't live near rivers. So we were able to get a nice pool of employees from that But also, a lot of people were able to get here after the second day because some of the rivers are receding and all the waters. But really, people want to work, people want to help, and people need to make money to continue their lives, and that's how we were able to accomplish that.
Rivera said there were some pleasant surprises in all that disruption, particularly during one of the power outages.
One of the walk-in freezers went down, so our customers benefit out of that because we had nice ribs, duck sausage, duck breast, all kinds of fancy stuff that we only do for catering. But because the freezer went down, we had to cook it. If not, we were going to lose it. So the first day we opened, everybody ate very good.
Students who live in private apartments were able to come back sooner and take advantage of campus services, like this student who lives in Commons but was able to eat in the dining hall.
I was stuck for a couple of days, but then I made it home, and then I stayed like 30 minutes away, so it wasn't much of a difference. We was out of power, and Pembroke's already back in power, so I chose to make the decision to come back.
The time off ended up being a little boring and frustrating for some. Athletes wanted to get back into routines, and they couldn't compete if they couldn't get any practice. Some were even looking forward to classes starting again.
Actually, I am, because just being away from Pembroke, it was like, when you hear it, you get tired of it a little bit, you get boring, but when you go away and you want to come back, it's just like, yeah, you be ready to get back to the regular activities.
Campus cleanup started within days of the main storm. Workers from all over the UNC system came to help out with clearing debris, sanitizing, and drying out facilities. Downed trees and branches needed to be removed and chopped up. Ceiling tiles, insulation, and other building materials were discarded, not to mention furniture and some personal belongings. Staff from the physical plant pumped water out of buildings for days, like at North Residence Hall.
And just like Lumby Hall, we started it yesterday, I guess around 2 o'clock. Emptying burrows out of that shaft, and they're still over there pumping water. I think it's the groundwater coming. I'm not expert on that. But
so water got into the elevator shafts? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Not that it flowed from the road inside the building, just come Mother, that.
Staff and students from the Office for Community and Civic Engagement got to work with relief efforts as soon as they could. The director of the office, Christy Poteet, told us about food and water distribution and hygiene packages that they provided to the surrounding community.
We started working with First Baptist Church in Pembroke to deliver food in communities that had been hit hard. I think this day we were delivering this food to Pembroke Housing Authority. Strickland Heights, which is a community located less than a mile from campus, was evacuated. Parts of it were evacuated. But I think what people fail to realize is that many parts of our community were dealing with hunger before the storm. They're going to deal with hunger during the storm, and when you suffer a loss, it's going to really affect them for a while after. So we fed them immediately, but we needed to think about how can we continue to feed them or meet their needs long after, because any resources that they had, they probably utilized during the storm or lost during the storm. So we started to clear out our food pantry, and with the hopes that we would meet the immediate need, and then people would continue to give to us so that in the months to come, we would be able to provide an ongoing resource for community and students. So our on-campus food pantry, which the video is showing you a little bit of what's going on inside there, we're grabbing some hygiene products that we can give out as well to make sure that as community and students continue these efforts of relief, that we have resources available to them so people can continue to give. We're open 5 days a week for about 15 hours a week. Students can come in twice a month. Community actually have to participate in a workshop, an educational workshop on financial literacy or healthy eating or career readiness, and then we give them a voucher to receive food. So it's kind of twofold. We're trying to educate them, but also trying to meet the need of hunger.
Due to the increased populations of mosquitoes caused by flooding from Hurricane Florence, Governor Roy Cooper ordered $4 million of funding for mosquito control in counties with a major disaster declaration. This week, Robeson County Commissioners voted to accept funds from the governor and to apply for matching funds from FEMA. Spraying will take place early in the mornings and early in the evenings.
Cuts in tuition have led to record enrollment at UNCP. According to campus officials, enrollment saw a 14% increase over last year. Despite the financial savings, students are experiencing overcrowding. There are long lines and waits for student services, including dining.
Well, sometimes it depends on what time you're going, like at noontime, like it's really packed, but other than that, it's smooth. I like it, it's fast.
Well, I work at Chick-fil-A, so it's good because it brings us more money, but it could be taxing on the workers because, I mean, we are students too. Most of the people that work back there are students. And for me, since I work the second shift, which I close, you know, at night when we, you know, trying to shut things down and get ready to close, it can be a lot of taxing because a lot of students come in because they want something to eat. And we're one of the spots that's one of the popular spots on campus. So with all the students being here, it just brings in a lot of money, which is good, but, you know, it can be taxing on us because we also have to get up early for classes and stuff like that. But
there's a lot of more cars out here parked. You know, it's hard to know where to park. I see people getting tickets every day. Just a lot of kids out here, man. That's all. Sometimes that's a good thing, though, I guess.
The search continues for a missing North Carolina hiker.
And road rage in South Carolina turns life-threatening.
Speaking of roads, numerous state agencies are working together to reopen the hundreds of roads closed after Hurricane Florence. Here's NCDOT Now.
Welcome to this week's edition of NCDOT Now. I'm Carly Alexic. Hurricane Florence devastated areas of North Carolina with unprecedented flooding and some road closures. But this week brought some positive news as some major highways reopened. Sections of Interstates 95 and 40, which were closed for about a week, reopened, as did many other key roadways in several southeastern counties. Personnel across the department played a key role in preparedness and response. The state's ferries aided in evacuations from Ocracoke Island before the storm. Afterwards, they transported personnel, fuel, and equipment to areas that were inaccessible by land due to flooding. The Public Transportation Division coordinated with transit systems to use buses to evacuate people before and after Florence. They also ferried National Guard troops during emergency response efforts and continue to provide a vital transportation service for evacuees. 18 transit systems in central and eastern North Carolina have been part of this effort, making more than 3,000 trips. North Carolina's passenger trains could not run for several days during the hurricane, but worked diligently to restore service to provide another travel option while many roads were closed. The Division of Aviation assembled drone teams before the storm that were immediately deployed for damage assessment. The teams included NCDOT and NC State Highway Patrol personnel. They conducted 253 assessment missions and collected 2,600 aerial images of the flooding and destruction caused by Florence. These images have helped officials safely and quickly view which roads are flooded and find potential alternative routes for drivers. Law enforcement officers with the NC Division of Motor Vehicles License and Theft Bureau helped swift water crews rescue people who were forced to evacuate their homes and also provided shelter security for evacuees. In addition, officers helped the State Highway Patrol monitor the interstates and highways to ensure motorists were using the safe detours established when roads became impassable due to flooding or storm damage. Meanwhile, Global Trans Park in Kinston was used as a major staging area for rescue efforts, with more than 700 first responders working out of the site to quickly reach those in need of help. Now that floodwaters have receded in many areas, inspectors are able to determine whether roads and bridges are safe to open, and if not, what repairs are needed.
It's very critical that it's safe to open up the road, and it's also critical that if we have to go back, it's in a safe manner that we can get in there and do the work we need to do.
More than 2,600 DOT employees are working on recovery efforts, including 250 crew members who have left less impacted areas of the state to help their coworkers in the hardest hit areas. They've been joined by 160 contractors helping with cleanup and recovery. The state now has less than 300 closed sections of roadway, down from more than 1,600 during the peak of the storm. And that's all for this week's edition of NCDOT Now. As always, you can stay connected with us on Facebook and Twitter. That's at NCDOT. You can also follow us on Snapchat and Instagram at NCDOT.com. For the latest traffic conditions from around the state, you can also visit drivenc.gov. And from all of us at the North Carolina Department of Transportation, safe travels.
A North Carolina man died from bacterial infection linked to contaminated floodwaters from Hurricane Florence. Ron Phelps' family said he scraped his leg while doing yard work. and he couldn't get to the hospital right away because the roads were flooded. His niece said by the time he did get help, the infection had already spread. Doctors amputated his leg, but it wasn't enough to save his life. There are now 39 deaths in North Carolina linked to Florence.
Crews in North Carolina are searching the Great Smoky Mountains National Park for a woman who went missing last week. 53-year-old Mitzi Sue Clements was last seen hiking with her daughter on September 25th when they became separated on the Forney Ridge Trail. A chopper search was suspended Tuesday because of heavy fog, but park officials say they aren't giving up. About 100 people were on the ground searching, and dog teams were also sent out on the trails. Tuesday marked day 7 of the search.
Police say a driver named Shane and his little girls were headed home from lunch Sunday afternoon when he noticed he was being tailgated. He says he tried to get over when he saw the man behind him pointing a gun at his truck before firing off 3 shots. You can see a bullet hole near one of Shane's taillights. Shane says as soon as he heard the gun, he yelled at his girls to get down.
I had my 6-year-old daughter in the back seat, and I had my 12-year-old daughter in the front seat. It's one thing to fire off at me, but my 6-year-old almost took that bullet.
This week is the first week college-bound students can apply for FAFSA. And this year, the free application and student aid is going mobile and making the process easier than ever.
Applying for financial aid just got easier. For the first time ever, college hopefuls can fill out their FAFSAs on a mobile app. According to the National College Access Network, only 61% of high school students apply, leaving more than $24 billion in state and federal aid on the table. This year, the Education Department is making the process a lot smoother. The form is now available through the brand new My Student Aid app. The FAFSA website is also sporting a new mobile-friendly design that's easier to use on a smartphone or tablet. But here's one thing that hasn't changed: the number of questions. You can still expect to answer all 100 of them. However, the Department of Education says it's arranged them differently to help you navigate through the website. Assistance is available on a first-come, first-served basis, so experts recommend you submit the form as early as possible. They also say the changes will likely encourage students to fill out the form themselves instead of asking their parents. Current and prospective college students have until the last day of the academic year to submit their FAFSA. For Consumer Watch, I'm Kim Hutcherson.
Students on some college campuses will soon have a reason to ask their parents for an Apple Watch. Beginning Tuesday, students at the University of Alabama, Duke University, and the University of Oklahoma can use their Apple Watch as their student IDs. Apple says the watch can be used in places IDs are accepted, both on and off campus. That means students can buy books, grab a meal, and in some cases access dorms with their Apple Watch. If you don't have a watch, Apple says students can store their IDs in the Wallet app on iPhones. The phones can then be used to access campus facilities. To take advantage of the new digital system, students must have iOS 12 on their iPhones and watchOS 5 software on their Apple Watch. Apple says it plans to expand this program to Johns Hopkins, Santa Clara, and Temple universities by the end of the year.
Are microwaves zapping the nutrients out of your food? Here's CNN News Source with a closer look.
When hunger strikes, there's a quick fix: the microwave. From popcorn to leftovers, it's the go-to for on-the-go heating. But is it frying key nutrients out of your food? The answer lies in the type of food you're cooking and how long you're cooking it for. The longer food is cooked, the more nutrients are lost. Temperature matters. The higher the heat, the less nutrient benefits. Liquids are also a big factor. If you're cooking with water, nutrients will drain from your foods and into the liquid. So the more water you're cooking with, the more nutrients you're losing. Experts say any type of cooking will strip food of some nutrients, and microwaving actually results in a very minimal loss of health benefits. Heating or steaming food in a microwave usually requires little to no liquid compared to cooking food in a boiling pot of water. Also, foods cooked in a conventional oven are exposed to excessive heat, increasing the potential for nutrient loss. So, should you abandon your quick fix friend, the microwave? Answer: no. In fact, experts say steaming is better than submerging your food in water. For today's Health Minute, I'm Kim Hutcherson.
It wasn't a typical day for one Nevada Fire Department. The fire crew was awoken in the middle of the night by the sound of a garbage container tipping over. When they checked it out the following morning, they saw a mother bear watching over the toppled rubbish. It didn't take long to put 2 and 2 together and figure out there were cubs trapped. While one fireman distracted the mama bear in another recorded video, this brave first responder lifted the lid so the babies could escape. And escape they did. All 3 of them ran off back to their home. As cute as this is, always call professionals to deal with trapped bear cubs. Getting between a mother bear and her cubs is extremely dangerous.
When we come back, Tyler will tell you about the busy week we had in sports,
including a new star on the track and field team.
Sports is up next after these messages.
Welcome back. I'm Tyler Hughes, and I'll be bringing you all your Braves athletics. The football team took to the field on Saturday against Newberry. After an uneventful first half, Braves football headed into the locker room down 3-0. Josh Jones had a decent day in there with 147 yards, including this 8-yard completion to Shamon Hicks. The ensuing possession, a Wolves receiver, Markel Castle, makes a tough grab in the end zone to put them up 10-0. Fourth quarter, Josh Sheridan breaks a few ankles on a nice run to set up a Braves field goal, but the kick is no good. Later in the fourth, Newberry finds the same QB to wide receiver combo to put them ahead 17-0. They will go on to win 20-0. After the game, Coach Richardson talked about making the most out of practice.
Every moment really counts, and you see that when you go up against good teams, and so. Newberry, very good team tonight, and obviously we're on the short end.
Defensive captain Josh Manns also said that their mentality on defense has to be more consistent.
I don't know, just discipline, honestly. Can't get comfortable. Like you said, we played great in the first half, and the second half, I think we got too lackadaisical, and then we didn't stay focused up. So as we got to continue on the game, we got to finish off strong, and then it'll be a better outcome.
Yeah, so that was one of the things that made.
Start preparing to see different teams in the upcoming years on the Braves schedule. Athletics has announced that starting the 2019 season, 4 sports will be joining the Mountain East Conference. Those sports are men's and women's indoor track and field, wrestling, and women's swimming and diving. We got the chance to talk to Athletics Director Dick Christie about how this new opportunity is mutually beneficial. Football will be joining the conference for their first season in 2020.
Yeah, so that was one of the things that made it so unique as we had conversations with the commissioner. The 5 sports that we needed help in football, indoor men's and women's track, wrestling, and women's swimming, were also championships that they were looking to solidify and strengthen. They were looking for a 12th member in football. They had just accepted Davis and Elkins, located in West Virginia, but they don't sponsor football, so it opened up the opportunity for an associate member.
Volleyball has won 2 straight games dating back to Saturday. They were home against Chowan and won in straight sets. Ashley Caesar and Kayla Crowder both tallied double-digit kills. This win snapped a 3-game losing skid for the Braves. They continued their winning ways on Tuesday when they took a trip to the Claflin and beat the Panthers in straight sets to pick up their first road victory. Braves volleyball is now 5-0 all-time against Claflin. They headed back to the court on Friday to face Flagler in a conference match. Soccer was in action Tuesday against Converse College, and man, did they put on a show. Converse came into the game with only 1 win under their belt, and the Braves did everything they could to keep it that way. 5 different goals were scored by 5 different players for the Braves, including this one by Bree Mason. The Braves will go on to rout the Valkyries in a 5-0 victory, improving their record to 3-2 on the season. Congratulations to Joshua Kepkesser. The freshman has been named PBC Runner of the Year after finishing ahead of 94 other runners in the University of North Georgia Invitational. He finished the 8-kilometer course in 25 minutes and 7 seconds. The men's team as a whole finished second in the event. The next time they will run will be Saturday as they head to Raleigh for the Great American Cross Country Festival. That's all I have for this week's action. Back to the studio.
Thanks, Tyler, and that's it for us.
We'll be back after fall break.